And when you talk about unity, when you talk about cultural diversity, that means we essentially talk about acceptance of diversity. Whether it's a minor ethno-religious community or a suppressed caste or a particular fringe political ideology, we have the mentality to accept that and accept one among that and move ahead. That is what we talk about diversity. You see that diversity, this media, so many colors, this is diversity. Or probably this is the wheel of life, the round features of a woman and different faces of it, and diverse activity. That is what is diversity. That essentially the diversity, we are able to accept it and appreciate it. Now, even if it's not, that means that we have cultural relativity rather than ethnocentricity. And taking up from the Frankfurt School, which took the economic aspect of Marxism much further to culture, media, and rest of the spheres. It basically talks about media owners are part of the ruling elite, and they manipulate to transmit conservative culture. They want to maintain the status quo, and to maintain wealth and prestige, the media owners transmit their culture to the media. That is understood. And I want to say that because all the while the media scholars have been talking about Frankfurt School and the later phase of the Frankfurt School scholar, the political economy scholar, has to say that Graham Murdoch has this to say: the age of digital media is also the age of marketization, which has seen governments selling public-owned communication resources and retreating from regulating corporations in the public interest. The result has been a massive consolidation of control over the direction of technological development in the hands of the ruling corporations. The billionaire owners of the major digital platforms are presented as the new feudal lords, exercising total personal control over their domains and relegating users to the status of serfs. And again, I said the later day, the present day political economic scholar. Now he is talking about the language which is stopped using, but which is still prevalent. The landlord versus serf. And again, the caste stratified country like India. We are celebrating diversity, celebrating pluralism. Even in the academic world, I can say one thing, that suppose in my university, it's one of the best universities, no doubt, but some scholar says that scholar from some metallurgy department or discipline he or she does not know. He's an eminent scholar or eminent scientist. Then I like to think that these two people must be of same caste. Invariably not, invariably mostly that they will be from the same caste. From the same caste, they promote the intellectuality to another scholar. This is a sort of society we are living in. The caste stratified society, and several stratification even among the educated is true. In such a society that we need to respect, at least as a professional, all shades of people. At least as professional. We may be castes, we may be marrying with same caste, marrying with same religion, but as a professional, we should be able to accept others as the respect for what they are. And probably 4 decades ago, Times of India newsroom in Mumbai, they had a discussion whether media should cover all aspects of the society, whether Dharavi slums should be part of their news. The answer was no. Because from what we teach in the newsroom, media should cover all aspects of the society. What is practiced in the media is that we will cover our audience, our readers, and our advertisers. That they are our constituency, not the whole interest which our freedom fighters would have talked about. And the same, internationally, the trend has been advocated and promoted by Rupert Murdoch, who bought many of the media, including Fox Television. And he is today compared with William Hayes, who is in the turn of the 20th century and who is associated with the yellow journalism. Because in the term, when people are going to war for colonization, and all sort of sensation news was published. but we are in the postmodernist era, we are reviving that in some sort of news thing. And normatively, how the media should be. And I will talk how, in terms of media freedom, and also in terms of, media plurality, something. For instance, media freedom, we think that to provide a platform for self-expression. Sometimes when we talk about media freedom, we may not even talk about accountability. But as part of media pluralism, reflecting the plurality of voices without misrepresentation. And as part of media freedom, to provide citizens access to information, but as part of the media pluralism, by various available sources, presenting a wide variety of viewpoints. And not just issue has two sides, it has multiple sides. And to foster public debate and deliberation between all groups in the society, not just selective groups. And when in the present day era, that when the social media emerged, and we don't even have gatekeepers. One of the best things about the social media is that it can allow the people whose voices were not hitherto heard to put their views in the social media and make them heard. So we talk about agenda setting through social media. There is even reverse agenda setting. Media has to take what they are so far relegated certain viewpoints. But also comes with the fake news with Google, which once considered as a we are media, we are not independent platform. We are not taking sides. But when people take sides, then fake news comes. They also take notice of it. And alternate views get dominant in media. Sometimes the alternate news which are not appreciated by the dominant people is also relegated as fake news. In fact, sometimes what goes viral is because of the lack of understanding of the people or lack of very cranky brains. For instance, there can be a honor killing, but people make video photograph, may put it as that religious conversion, some girl has been killed, that sort of thing also there. And in the recent thing that there is a Shankar Shankar, he was a popular YouTuber and about talking about the governments, even the ruling party, opposition party, through some intelligence source he gets the news he was giving it. And recent thing he had said something about the Supreme Court. It's the Supreme Court, not so necessarily Supreme Court, the courts are riddled with corruption. Judges are riddled with corruption. Then the Madurai bench of the High Court ordered arrest of him. Rightly and quickly the Supreme Court said that the arrest should not have been made. It's a wrong thing. And one of the famous lawyers and who has very good credibility, he has this to say about that arrest. It is wrong, it is counterproductive, it is in violation of principles of natural justice. This is what Prashant Bhushan has to say. People are entitled to do what Shankar did. Everyone knows that there is considerable corruption in judiciary. Saying something like this, in my view, does not amount to contempt of the court, because the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court said that it's contempt of the court and ordered arrest. The judge who has some interest in the matter in dealing with it, when he ought not to have dealt with it, he should have refused. The order does not read well or augur well for the judiciary. Such sharp things he has said it, a famous lawyer which was much credibility. And in fact, in the 75 years of independence we are celebrating, but we should all agree, if we are truthful to ourselves, that space for dissent is shrinking. That's very unfortunate. Whether academics have the courage to take it up. And in fact, I will say the two incidents of it in 2001, and there was that time DMK was out of power in Tamil Nadu. That's a rally which was happened and it went through the Marina. And in that rally, along with the police officers, along with the gundas, people came with sickle and even attacked the mob. Journalists were attacked. Women journalists were molested, and as part of the union activism, I was the vice president of the Madras Union of Journalists, and 8 of us went to court. It's former Home Minister Chidambaram took up the case without any money. And finally, I was also on the last day of the hearing when Mr. Chidambaram represented, and case was kept on delaying. It came in the first court. He said, this is a serious case involving journalists. The freedom of press is at stake. Your Lordship should issue immediate orders. And immediately orders were issued, compensation should be paid. But did the government give compensation? Couple of weeks later, the ICSSR came along with all his staff to my house. The same time they went to all the people who filed the case, all the signatories. They said, we have filed the case, you show where is your house, any damage is there. I have filed the case as a public interest on behalf of my brethren as a union leader. And they want to assume as intimidating, threatening even the people who filed the case. So much so that the journalists who were affected, who were beaten up and who were severely injured, they did not even have courage to claim the compensation. So you see that how the space for dissent is being suppressed. And I will talk about the 2017 Jallikattu, and which some people will consider as a jamboree, some people will consider as a social movement. But everybody took notice of. And Jallikattu was denied based on an international organization, PETA, the animal rights organization, which credibility itself was under question. And then people protested. Some people gathered and many gathered. It is a suppressed emotions. All shades of the people gathered. Even conservative mothers sent their children to go and stay in the night. And many people gave food and other things. And entire family stayed put in the marina. But media supported it. Media triggered that Jallikattu protest. But the moment the government took a stand that we want to suppress it, slowly mainstream media withdrew the news and stopped publishing news. And social media was cut, internet was cut. And so even mainstream media sometimes beyond the level the courage is not lacking. And the celebration of So Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister, has this to say: Indianness is a matter of feeling, a dream, a vision, and an emotion. We have come together as a same country. It's a feeling of dream, a vision, and an emotion. And it's a very complex. Even talking about the history is very complex. This is I have a strong connection with Orissa. My father was a linguistic anthropologist. He wrote the dictionary for the Kuvi language. Coming and sitting and staying alone in the mountains under a hut without no doors or no walls, and he used to write the dictionary of the Kuvi language. That is a language which belongs to our family of Tamil family of language. And whether it's controversial or not, what his feeling is that over a period of time, the Oriya people have lost their Dravidian language, but the people who have moved up the hills still retain the Dravidian language. And so there is a unity in diversity. Instead of saying that who is great, who is thing, we should be able to appreciate the others. Cultural pluralism as part of our national identity is in tandem with the notion of inclusive growth. We should not exclude any group, we should be able to include others. Instead of talking the language, every day we talk the language, if we carefully do a thematic analysis, us versus them. We are them, we like to relegate, we like to sterilize somebody is taking a protest against because cancer is spreading, we suppress them by shooting, this sort of thing. To suggest that the Indianness, irrespective of their historical, geographical and cultural moorings, must adopt one culture threatens our spirit of coexistence. It's not unity in uniformity, but unity in diversity. And in fact, we have a peace journalistic approach. If you take that instead of elitism, covering only the elite, we should cover the people-oriented stories. Instead of difference-oriented stories, we should cover areas of agreement. And instead of dichotomizing good and bad, that is a Victorian approach. There is no different shades of good, different shades of bad. It's only that extreme thing, not a continuum. Avoid labels of good guys and bad guys. Instead of partition coverage, that non-partition coverage should be there. And one thing to conclude, pluralism is the most widely accepted interpretation of a democratic society. providing equal opportunity for development to people at individual and collective levels. Individual and collective levels, there should be scope for development. If we take empirical studies of media pluralism, it may lead to controversial outcomes depending on the perspective one takes. Already a perspective one takes us versus them, not an inclusive approach. The premise itself is wrong, research will take a wrong stand. To become a state, people need to have a common political legal system. A nation calls for a shared value system, not necessarily of one language, one culture, or one religion. Media should serve the nation building process, transcending the narrow boundaries. What Rabindranath Tagore says, that we should go beyond the national narrow boundaries. That's why the country will have a bright future. Well, the last I would like to say is that if really the media pluralism has to be there, that the society is fragmented on different lines. That fragmentation and the profile of the newsroom should also reflect the different shades of the society. Only then the media pluralism will be there. I will say a simple instance of, I was in Australia, that Sydney Morning Herald, they consciously recruit even Aborigines because they want the Aboriginal viewpoint also to get reflected in the media. Thank you.